Hello, my name is Bob, and I'm going to introduce you to Chartsmart Global, which is a uh, stock screening and stock charting program that's been around as Chartsmart for nearly 30 years. And we're now doing a Chartsmart Global, which integrates a bit more with the internet, and this allows us to have more information available to you um, with regard to the charts and with regard to the financial information and screening capabilities. So this is our new web page, and I'm just going to start ChartSmart Global because I've installed it, and here we go. So you can see there's the first menu, and we'll go continue, and we've got a chart here right now. Now what I'm going to do is just show you how to call up a chart, which is with the next button. Okay, and I'm just going to type in IBM, and you can see International Business Machines has come up. And I'll press enter, and there's a chart. Okay, so this is a weekly chart. You can see 2024 on the right, and then it goes back to 2014, so that's about 10 years. Um, one of the features of ChartSmart Global is that it has more history, and it has the capability of 40 or 50-year charts. And if we go here to zoom and we go to the weekly charts and we just go tighter, you'll see that it it compresses the chart. It goes back to 2011, which is about 13 years, and we will be adding um, more historical information um, as we get into it more. Now, what we offer now, if we go to tools here and some interesting information, is information on stocks and securities that are on Canada and the United States. And we've got the TSX, for example, has 3,000 symbols. The Venture has 2,000. And by the way, the TSX, out of that 3,000, 1,000 are ETFs. The CSE, which is the Canadian exchange, which has about 800. New York, about 5,000, of which 2,000 are ETFs. NASDAQ, 8,000. Some ETFs, and now we have the bulletin board and pink sheets, which are about 8,000, and the American. Okay, so that's about 30,000 if you include indices that don't show up here. And um, in the future, though, ChartSmart Global, I'm going to go to the filter menu here. I'm going to first zoom this back to uh, 10 years, and I'm going to show you the filter menu, uh, and I'm going to delete this set. And don't worry about this area. I'm just going to sort of set it back to the original settings. Okay. But what I want to show you is um, the way it's set up now is that if we run a screen, and this would be a one for New York stocks, and I look at the criteria, you'll see in the criteria for exchanges that there's Toronto, the Venture, Canadian, and indices, and so on. So these are the Canadian and US ones, which I mentioned, total of 30,000. And if we were to run a screen, for example, on New York securities, you'll see on the screen there, it went by really quick, it said 30,000. It was screening from 30,000 securities, and it got 5,400 on New York. Okay, that's um, just a very simple screen, probably as simple as it could be. So what we're going to be doing though is under that exchange tab, you're going to see probably 100 different options here with every different kind of instrument security, such as cryptos or forex or um, currencies, and all the exchanges in the world, and you'll be able to screen on them. So this is where the, the ChartSmart Global becomes very vast. But of course, the main ones are the Canadian and the US, which is the focus for now. Now, the difference with this is that if we go to the web page, we have some examples under features. And there's an example chart of a 40-year chart. But what I want to show you is under the examples, I want to show you the basic concept of the way this works, okay? So if we look at um, the, the a sample piece of information on the internet, this would be a data file, and that's the open, high, low, close volume, and date going back to 2014. So basically, we have 30,000 of these um, files posted on our site that get updated every day with at the bottom with the new date. So what happens is Chartsmart Global goes to our site when you call a stock, it pulls the data and it draws the chart and allows you to do your analysis. Okay, so it's no longer on your hard drive. It actually is on the internet on our site. And this, of course, allows us to access other data, similar data from other sites that might offer it to individuals such as yourself. And ChartSmart becomes a tool for um, uh, accessing that information and organizing it on your computer, presenting it into the charts, as I showed you. For example, this is a currency chart for the Canadian to US dollar. Okay, now, um, then what happens is uh, we've looked at that, and I'm going to show you what the filters would look like. Okay, so I showed you the filter menu, and that was the Exchange tab, and you can see here that this is just an image saying, we have all these different options. So what you could do is you could run a screen for them. But let's not get into that too much. I just want to show you the concept of the way it all will work. Okay, but right now you can use it because what happens is every day um, we, uh, we post um, the data files at about 3:30 Pacific. So when that happens, you can just go in as I just did with ChartSmart and call up a chart like IBM. And if we look at the daily chart in it, and we go quote, you can see that it will have the current day. So if today is the 11th at 3:30, you'll see the date is up to date. You don't have to do anything. You just go into the program and it's all there. So let's go into some more details about what this will do for you. Okay. Now, you can get a lot of charts on the internet. One of the most important things about ChartSmart and ChartSmart Global Charts is this fundamentals chart on the bottom, these colored bars. Okay. And let's just discuss IBM for a minute. Okay. And that blue line on the bottom is the dividend. So over 10 years, you can see that the dividend grew fairly fast in the earlier half of that period, and it's gone pretty much steady. And if we actually look at this PD5 button and we look at the dividend per share, you can see how it went from 530 in 2016 up to 570, 607, 630, but it really hasn't changed much. Okay, so the dividend has not been going up much. Now, obviously on the chart, you can see that the chart has been going up and we go, why is that happening? Well, let's look at that black line. You can see how it goes down up to 2022 and it's been coming up a bit. That's their sales. On the right, you can see operating revenue. And the red line is the earnings. So you can see they've started to go up. So IBM's making more money, and we could look into this PD5 and you would be able to see the same thing. The earnings per share have gone up quite dramatically in the last while. So the yellow line is cash. So what you can see is how the um, company trend in the chart corresponds to the fundamentals, and that's a pretty unique feature. And I'm going to show you a filter, and we're just going to go through that. So let's go back and say, oh, well, we're going to just run a filter for NYS securities that are hitting new highs today. Okay, so let's run that. These are pre-made screens. I'm just giving an example one. I'm going to go close and go to group, which will bring us back to the charting menu. And I'm going to go begin scrolling. And I wanted to exclude ETFs, and I didn't when I ran the screen, and I should have. Um, so I think what we'll do is we'll go back and just run all NYSE securities. Okay. And what we're going to do is just show you how we can sort them on, say, number of shares issued or say issued capitalization value in descending order, which means we're going to get the highest first. Okay. So Berkshire Hathaway is the highest market cap. Uh, 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 um, and we'll go to the next one. And there's another one, and here's another one called Taiwan Semiconductor. Okay, so again, as we did with IBM, let's look at this chart. You can see how the black line, the revenue has been going up. The earnings are strong. The PE ratio is really low. That's the magenta line, and the cash is going up. So this company is going gangbusters, and their dividend is going up too. And you can see just how quickly this works. Now, what I'm gonna do is go to the watch list, and I'm going to create a new watch list called uh, Bob stocks. Okay, and it's going to be blank. Okay, there it is. And what happens is when you run a screen, as we did, and I'll show you how to do a screen more in a minute, you can um, drop them. For example, I can add this one to my watch list. Whoop, I can go add the displayed chart. Okay, so now I'm collecting the stocks that I'm viewing, and I'm going to press the forward button and go to another one. There's Eli Lilly, and you can see again how the revenue has been going up rapidly recently. Dividends are strong, earnings are going up, and so on. Now, I'll look at another one. You can see here that's Walmart, and this one shows a split, which is right here. You can see the split was 3-1, and we put that on the charts, and you can either display the chart split adjusted or not. Okay, so that's split adjusted. So Walmart's been going well, quite well in the last year as well. So we could say, oh, I want to look at that one. Okay, so we put 2 in our list, and what can happen is we can put the 2 that are in our watch list in the filtered list. So if I go view charts, it puts them in here. Then we can scroll through our personal list of stock. Okay, so that's the general concept of Chartsmart is the high quality charts and more important, the filtering capabilities. So let's go look at that for a minute, okay? The filtering, um, we provide samples, okay? So this is the beginner, and you can see in the upper left, we've got just simple screens like NYSE between $10 and $20. You wouldn't really want to do that normally. You might look at ones that are dropping a lot or with certain PE ratios and so on. But let's just go back here, and we've got an intermediate group of samples. Okay, and we've got advanced ones. Okay, so these are samples you can do, but what I'm going to do is actually make a new one. So once you get started, you go over here and you've got 10 options for different personal groups. And in each group, you can make various filter sets. So let's make a simple one. Okay, and I'm going to call this Bob's Picks. Okay, so what we're going to do is go in here and we're going to choose some exchanges. We're going to say NASDAQ, New York, Toronto, and Amex. Okay, so we started with that. So if we were to run a simple filter on that and run it on the 30,000, we're going to get, there you go, 16,000 of them are on those exchanges. Okay, but of course we want to be more restrictive. Now, another thing you can do in ChartSmart is you can and Chartsmart Global is you can go to the uh, settings here, and you can choose to exclude ETFs. And that's a big plus because a lot of people just don't want to look at ETFs. They either want to look at ETFs or they don't. So if we run this screen again, which gave us 16,000 companies, let's see what it is now. So we've cut out about 4,000. We're down to 12,000. So all of these are companies that we may or may not want to um, take a look at. So here's Allegiant Technologies, Alcoa. Okay. Now, what we can do to that filter is we can go and do some more detail. We could say, oh, well, I just want ones that are into building materials. Okay. And there are 56, it tells us. And let's just run this. And that's based on the entire database. So there's actually 54. And so we're going to go through here and actually going to look through uh, the stocks that are into building materials. Okay. And I'm just, here's Arlo Technologies. Okay. So what I could do is, as you saw before, I could go to Z Watch and I could just add that to my watch list with the others if I was collecting them, right? And we go back to our filter and let's play around with this some more. Let's not bother about that. Let's say we just want gold companies that are on those exchanges. Okay, so we'll take that and we'll do that again. We get 120, and you'll notice all the names are Agnico Gold, Alamos, and so on, right? So that's some simple screening, okay? But let's go a little further. Let's not worry about the sector. I mean, I can show you all the sectors. There's just so many. Um, Financial services, real estate, and so on. So if you want to isolate stocks on certain exchanges that are in certain sectors, in seconds you can get that. You can scroll through them and put your in their lists and do your trend lines and so on, and look at the various indicators. This is a very powerful tool. Uh, there's a lot of internet charts out there, but you just don't get the same flexibility that you do with this software. So we could then say, well, let's look at some price attributes. I want to look at stocks that maybe have had a price drop in the last 10 days. So let's say that they're down uh, at least 5%. That's a pretty big drop in 10 days. I don't know if we're going to get any, but let's just see what happens when we run that. Okay, well, we got quite a few actually. So I'm going to actually change that and make it a bit more restrictive. So let's go for a 20% drop. Okay, so that'll cut out a lot. Let's just see what the charts look like on this. Okay, so we get 269. Let's begin scrolling, and there you go. We're going to go to a daily chart, and you can see that this one's only like 2 cents. So no wonder we're getting the large percentage. And as you can see in these, they're fairly low priced, but they're all dropping because they've had big drops in the last 10 days of 20%. And of course, if we didn't want to look at really low priced ones, we could go in here and we could say, well, I also want to say that the price is over $10 a share, or say $2 a share. And then what would happen is when you run it, you're going to get even fewer than 200. You're going to get 88. Okay, so this is amazing how quickly this works, how flexible it is. You can see me flowing through here. And let's go back and look at some other screens here. Okay, let's take that one out and not worry about the price. And I just want to show you some more of the price ones. Um, there's just so many options. Okay, percent from 2-week low, daily volatility, and so on. You can look at volume screens. One of the ones that I like to look at is the percent activities in the last 30 days. So if you go here, you can actually say that you want it to trade, say, at least 95% of the last 30 days, which would be like 28 of the last 30 days. So any stocks that are not that active, I think we got 12,000 here originally, and now there's 9,000 because 2 or 3,000 have been taken out because they're not active. And so you can get rid of those ones. So every one of these is in the last 30 days is going to have traded a lot pretty well every day. Okay. We can go back here some more. Let's look at these volume screens. There's the average volume per week. You can get volume breakouts. Okay, the volume in the last 3 days exceeds this amount daily. Um, you could say I want the 1 week average volume relative to the 10 week. Let's try that. I can't quite remember how this works, but let's put in 2 here, which might mean that this week's volume is at least 2 times the average in the last 10 weeks. So you're going to get a type of breakout in the volume. Okay, so let's close and take a look at these. And you can see on the bottom, these volume lines here. You can't see it very well here. There, you can see this here. there's an increase in the volume in the last week compared to the last 10 weeks. We'll look at one more, and you can see it here as well. So you could do that in corresponding with, you could say, well, I want it to be at a 10-week low as well. So you want it down with volume or up with volume and so on. So you have total flexibility to make your screens the way you want them. They get saved. You can run your screens every day. Okay. Let's go into some of the technical ones. You can look for um, all these different types here. You can look for indicator like crossovers of moving averages. So let's try one, okay? So let's say we want to look for stocks where the simple moving average crosses up through the 10. The 10-day goes through the 50-day. I can show you some of the others. There's RSI, on balance volume, Bollinger Bands, MACD, stochastics, all kinds of screens. But let's look at one simple like that, okay? So we'll say the 10-day going through the 50-day. Okay, so what's that going to bring us? It's going to say that the 10-day moving average is going up through the 50-day. Okay, so we'll go close and look at these charts, and that's all fine. We can take a look at some of these. And but what I'm going to do is turn the indicator on. Okay, so let's look at the moving average lines, and let's look at 10-day. And I think we had a 50-day, so we're going to make that the black line. Okay, so we've got a red line and a black line. And what's happening here is you can see the crossover that where the red line's going back down. Let's just see what we get. I haven't checked this. So you can see how the red is cutting down below. There's a crossover, right, occurring. The red is going down through the black in all cases. So we have been able to screen out for this crossover, okay, and in seconds. And let's continue, okay. So I can go to. I showed you a lot of these technical screens. Um, let's take this one out and let's go into the fundamental screens. And here you've got so many options. You can look at the PE ratios, the earnings, whether they have revenue growth. Let's, for example, look at ones where the revenue is up every year in the last 5 years. Okay, simple. Let's see what we get. Out of those 12,000, we get about 1,200. And let's take a look at the charts. And what we should see if we look at the weekly chart is that black line should be going up in the last 5 years every year, which, as you can see, it has. Right? There you go. You see it on the bottom there. You see how it's going up every year? Okay. And that's what we ran the screen for. So you can see how amazing this is. Think about whether you can get this kind of a tool anywhere on the web, and you're going to be hard pressed to find anything so quick and so good. A lot of this has to do because even though the data is coming from the internet, it's running on your PC. So you have the power of your PC, your own operating system running this, and you also have the privacy when you create your lists and so on, that it's on your computer. It's not somewhere on the cloud where other people could see it or not. So let's continue. Okay, and we're getting into some more detail now. So let's just go down our list. There's number of employees, various beta, dividends, revenue growth, all the balance sheet items. You could say, well, I want the current assets over a certain amount, or the cash flow, various ratios you could specify. Quite amazing, okay? Now, a few other ones here you can actually screen out here for your various stocks in various lists, okay? But you can also screen out stocks that are in that certain indices. Uh, for example, we could go to the TSX composite, and we could simply just say, well, I just want to look at stocks on the TSX composite. Which ones are they? These 223 are the ones that make up the TSX composite index. So we have all this information in here. for you. And then, of course, you can run your extended screens on this. You could say, well, I just want ones that are trading near their 52-week low, say within 10% of their 52-week low. I don't think there'll be very many out of those 200, but let's see what we get. We only get 4. Okay, let's take a look at them. So there you go. These are stocks, Algonquin Power, on the TSX composite that are trading within a certain percent, as we specified, of their year low. That chart's going up, but of course, in the last year, it's at a low. And here's the last one. Okay, so we'll go back to our list, and of course, we can make all the lists we want. We could say, well, okay, I've left this. I want to keep that one. Let me make a new one. This is Bob's next list. Okay, and we can make a new one. Okay, so I could go here to the custom tab, and I could choose all the stocks that make up the Dow 30. This might not actually be exactly 30, but let's see what we get. It might be 29. No, we've got all 30. So there you go. These are the Dow 30. Apple, Amgen, Amazon, American Express, and so on. So you start to get a feel for how this works and how powerful it is. And I want to just show you now another feature, this little globe in the upper right. Okay, if we click that, it'll allow you to get other links. As I said before, this allows us to connect the financial information on the web. And for example, we could simply go to the company profile at Yahoo, and it will bring up the profile on American Express in seconds. You've got that information. Okay, so let's go back here. And there's just a host of information, and we can adjust this and change links and so on. So whenever you're looking at a chart, you have this information you can access in just seconds, news, insider information, and so on. Okay, let's go back to our filter. And now we're going to get into some more complicated stuff, okay, more powerful tools, okay? So let's look at something that might be more specific to a Canadian junior mining stocks, okay? We'll just play with this idea. Let's look at Canada and all 3 exchanges, okay? But let's go to this special tab, and we're going to look for stocks that have been consolidated. And let's say within the last, I think it's about October now. So let's say in the last 6 months or the last 4 months, okay, we want to look for name changes. We'll look for consolidations. Okay, so that's a reverse stock split. So what we do is we run this first. We got 228 for the entire database. You can see there's some that are here on NASDAQ and so on. But we specified these Canadian exchanges. So we run the screen again, and we're going to get all the Canadian stocks that have had consolidations in the last 4 months. Amazing. And there's the little consolidation, 1 to 3.25. Let's look at the daily chart on it so you can see it. And I'm just going to scroll through them. And everyone is going to have that CO there that refers to a consolidation. This is 1 for 10. Okay. So a lot of flexibility with this system. Similarly, you could look at bigger companies, and you could say you could look for stock splits. Some people like to look for stock splits. So let's go into NASDAQ in New York, and let's say that we want to look for splits, okay, in the last 4 months. Let's see what we get. Okay, there's 20, and we're going to run this and apply it to those 2 exchanges. Okay, and we get 14. So there we go. You can see there's the stock split for AGBA and Broadcom. There's another one. And here's a stock split. Now, some people like to look at stock splits and say, well, I want all the ones that have just had a stock split that are down at least 10%, because it might be a good buy after the split. And of course, you could include that in your screen in conjunction with, your price. You could say, well, the price is, could be at a 10-week low. as well. We could try that, right? Like say, let's say it's within 20% of its 10-week low, but it also had that they had a stock split. So the list gets reduced to 7, and we can see that how the stock dropped after the stock split. Okay, this one, I don't know that this is right after the stock split, because you see we would have had made the stock split occur within the last same period as the percent drop, and of course we had specified in the last 4 months, so they're not exactly the same. But you can see how there was a drop um, in some cases after the split. Anyway, not to worry. I really just wanted to show you how that worked. Okay, so we can look for new listings. Okay, so let's look for new listings in the last 4 months on those two exchanges. Okay, let's see what we get. Um, I'll take this option out and we'll go here. And there's 94. And we'll begin scrolling, and there you have that. And you can see that blue dotted line. That is the new listing date. And down in the bottom left, you can see the listing information. So you can see this is a huge amount of work putting all this together, but the amount of control you get, and you can add them to your lists. I can go through here and view the charts for my list anytime, and so on. Okay, and you can make an unlimited number of groups of filter sets and so on. So I'm going to take you a little further into the filtering capabilities, and you can see that this whole video has been focused on the filtering because, of course, that's what makes it unique compared to any other charting system. And there's this Use Specify tab, which actually allows you to specify um, you can create your own formulas. And I don't want to get into this in too much detail because we're trying to make this a very light introductory video. But what I'll do is go into this Use Specify and get an example. Okay, so we'll take this first one, and that one's been changed here. Let's say high net worth per share. Okay, so this is a formula that says that the cash and equivalents less the total liabilities divided by the issued share is a certain amount over the last price times 2. Okay, a whole bunch of stuff. These are variables that you can enter, okay, just like this, and then you can run the screen. Okay, so these in this case are considered high net worth per share because of the screen you have made, and it goes through the fundamental information, and we get 233. Okay, and then we can go through the charts. So for whatever reason, we've made a custom formula that specified exactly what we wanted, and it's just amazing. You can make, of course, you can customize up to 50 of your own special formulas. And I'm not going to get into that in too much detail. So you can see how sophisticated this this program is. And I'm going to show you another neat feature that I always think is kind of neat, and to show you how it prints charts. And I'm going to go back to make a simple filter here, and we're just going to run a filter for NASDAQ and New York stocks. Okay, and we'll get 10,000. Okay, and what I can do is I can sort this any way I want in reverse, or by phone number, company name, or their daily volume of shares. So let's go in descending order in daily volume of shares, so you get the really high volume ones first. And this was the highest, Jete. Okay, so if we look at that, you'll see the big volume. That blue bar means that this day or this week was over 1.5 times all the average of the last on the chart. I'll just do another one here. Here's NVIDIA. So you can see there's a real cool example of they actually just raised their dividend, that blue line. The earnings have been going ballistic along with the revenue, and the cash is going up. So they're having a bit of a heyday. You can see it's had a couple splits recently. Okay. What I wanted to show you was, yeah, the printing of charts. So let's try this. There's all these options, but this is a 4 per page landscape. So let's try this. And what we're going to do is it's actually going through that list. There's the NVIDIA one again, and it's going through these New York and NASDAQ companies, and it's saving the image based on the all the indicators and the fundamentals and whatever we want displayed on the charts, and it's putting 4 per page on a PDF that you could pass on to somebody if you wanted, or whatever you wanted to do. So I'm going to stop this so we can take a look at what actually happens. Okay, so I'll stop this and we're going to look at the last one. Okay, so we'll go in here, view files. Here's the last one, page 5, and let's see what it looks like. So there you go, a nice clean uh, page. This is page 5, and you can see here's Intel in the bottom right. Let's raise the size a bit, and you can see all the fundamentals on here in color and so on. So what a presentation. If you were doing a presentation, you could say, this is a group of dividend stocks that are over 5% per year, and they are in a certain sector, and I've got these 18 charts, and here they are. I'm going to email this to you and show you, and we can talk about this. So an amazing tool. Okay, so I'll go back to the system, and the video is getting, this introductory video is getting pretty long. There's all kinds of options on the chart for um, uh, uh, I'm just looking at some of the things that you might find interesting, that you could put annotations on the charts as you desire, uh, and you can run all kinds of screens. You can make memos uh, on various stocks. Okay, and what happens is when it has a memo, this goes red, and then you can screen out all the stocks that you have memos on, which there is a memo on Microsoft, I guess. Okay, so I had a test memo in here. So you can screen on your watch lists, and I'm just gonna yeah. So last thing I probably didn't mention is there's no updating of data required, other than you might want to go to the data button and click this button. And what this button does is it downloads the latest um, uh, screening file, which I've been using to run all these screens, and that gets updated every day. So if you're screening out for the 14-day RSI being over 70, you want to get this, and then it'll allow you to run these screens every day. Now, there's other options in here that are going to be added, which will allow you to customize your own screens. Um, and you'll be able to, for example, when you can access all the data in Shanghai for all 2,500 companies, you could run the screen for that exchange, and then you could actually go through and create your own filtered list. So then you could say, okay, I want to look at all the stocks on Shanghai that have an activity of over 95% of the days, the last 30 days that have traded, that are just dropped a certain amount, and they have a MACD crossover and so on. And then you could scroll through them and put them in your watch list. So ultimately, Chartsmart Global will become Chartsmart Global. It will have access to all these international exchanges, financial instruments, and you can manage them and move them around and organize just as I've shown you. And there will be a lot of other neat new features I haven't actually mentioned, where you can actually customize the duration of your indicators and so on for your real technical fanatics. So I'm going to leave the video at that. I want to thank you for your patience. Actually, one other thing, I'm just going to go to the indicators tab, so you can see the host of indicators that you can put on the charts. We also have filter arrow alerts. This is kind of a feature that will put, when you draw the chart, it will put um, little arrows on it when these certain things occur. I don't know, but this is a MACD crossover right here, and that's why and you could have the indicator on at the same time. So Cool stuff. You can see I haven't shown you 10% of what's in this software. It's absolutely incredible. It's evolved over 30 years, and now it's ChartSmart Global, which is no longer just a limited group of stocks. It's going to be able to handle everything in the world and all the instruments that you want to see, and give you the full flexibility of all the tools within ChartSmart. So if you have any questions in your trying this during our development period, which is you're welcome to use it free, you just email us at info@chartsmart.com. Let us know your comments, let us know your suggestions, anything that we could add that you might like, and we just look forward to your input. And I'm glad to work with you. So we actually haven't set up specific pricing structure once this is developed, but it will be reasonable for the average person to be able to enjoy all these features. So thank you very much, and I'm going to end this recording now. And uh, good luck. Get Go ahead and download it and install it, and let us know how you do. Thank you.